Welcome to Marketecture, where you can get smart fast with in-depth interviews of leading technology vendors. I'm Jeremy Kagan, and I'm here with Ken Suh, the CSO of Nexxen, and he'll tell us how Nexxen's name arrived as well as all the brands underneath it. But Ken, you have been in a lot of the different positions in the company, so Chief Strategy Officer is just the latest and greatest for you. But before we get started, for people who might not be familiar with Nexxen and your previous brands, can you tell us, what does your company do?
Yep, sure. Thanks for having me, Jeremy, and Marketecture. Really excited to be here. So what does Nexxen do? It provides unique solutions for brands, advertisers, publishers, and broadcasters. So we really work with a wide variety and full spectrum of those integrated within the digital marketing space.
And do you focus on a particular area of that, like connected or anything like that?
Video is a big focus of ours. That's something that we are well known for. Over 80% of our revenue is video focused. So we are experts in the video space, which obviously lends itself to connected television as well.
Excellent. Well, I think that's an area I'm going to want to dig in a little deeper. So we'll call that foreshadowing, just like any good TV show like Succession or something.
Teaser. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we dig into the details there, let's get some of the basics down here. So when was the company founded? And if you can give us a little sense of, sort of the history of the company.
Yeah, let's go back in time to a certain point. Tremor is a company that a lot of folks in the industry are very familiar with. Back in the day, Tremor Video. And back in the day, Tremor owned a DSP and an SSP, which ultimately spun off to be Teleria. And that went off and joined forces with Rubicon, etc., and became Magnite. Shortly thereafter, Tremor bought Rhythm One Exchange, which is an SSP. Within Rhythm One, there had been a number of brands that they had acquired, like Yumi, for example, etc. So there are other companies within that Rhythm One acquisition.
Well, Ken, so let's start at the top. I mean, for those who maybe haven't heard the Nexxen name, Nexxen is actually the new name of a whole bunch of brands that you're probably familiar with, Amobee, Unruly, etc., and the brands you mentioned. So this history lesson is actually building up to where we are today.
That's correct, Jeremy. We are taking a step back into, I guess, ad tech history. And I think a lot of folks watching or listening will sort of have hopefully a nice smile around some of these names that they remember either working at, with, or partnering with. So again, kind of going back, Tremor started, then bought Rhythm One. Tremor itself was purchased by a company called Taptica as well back in the day. And then after Rhythm One came along, Unruly was purchased in 2020, which is where I came into the fold of the Tremor International company. And then after Unruly was purchased, we purchased an ad server company called Spearad out of Germany. And then after that was purchased, we bought Amobee DSP. And so if you unpick Amobee actually had a couple of companies that you may be familiar with. So one, Videology. They had purchased Videology back in the day.
By the way, somewhere there's an investment banker who's either like weeping that he missed this or, wishes he was your best friend back then. Because there's one company after another getting bought here. This is a classic M&A story. You guys are basically the Lumascape in like your own little microcosm.
There's a lot of closing dinners happening around this story. So I'd say within Amobee had Videology and also the Turn platform. Turn was a DSP and a DMP. And it all became part of Amobee. And Amobee at the time was owned by Singtel. So Amobee then was purchased by Tremor. So if you kind of think about it, we have all these brands, Tremor, Amobee, Unruly, Spearad, and you can imagine it was just right for us to think about, let's now rebrand under one new name, Nexxen.
We've got all these brands with lots of different stuff, and you've presented a unified solution. Can you give us a rundown of what that looks like from both the demand side and the supply side, and where those pieces sit?
Yep. So we have a DSP that is Nexxen DSP. This is all used by a number of enterprise clients. We have a DMP, that is a data management platform. We have an SSP, supply side platform. We have an ad server as well, Nexxen ad server. then there is built-in self-serve tools for publishers to manage their inventory and demand channels. We also have a linear and linear plus digital planning tool for broadcasters and agencies who want to plan audiences in the upfronts and scatter markets. We also have something called Nexxen Studio, which does create custom creatives for advertisers. We have quite a lot under the hood here.
Thanks for listening. To hear the complete interview, subscribe at marketecture.tv.